All right, here's a little bit of some story time. This might be triggering for some people, actually. But I don't know if you're seeing this. You're seeing this for a reason. So, one time when I was back in my stoner days, I pretty much went for a pickup, and I was jumped. And I had this actually very interesting tower moment in my life of having a gun pointed right at my face. And it was so surreal in the way it was like a permission slip for working through through grief as well as like loss. And I literally had this like slow-mo moment of just a pause in my whole reality where I felt just like I literally felt the shifting of reality. You know when like in movies where they'll pause and things go slow-mo? It was kind of like that, but it was all within me. And I had this like mini like whoa, like ego death, I guess you could say. I guess you could call it. It was definitely like this really big shift in reality where I believed I just accepted the fact that I was going to die and that I was just accepting death. Kind of what it was. And when you meditate, and I meditate quite a bit, like every day for like 4 to 6 hours consistently, you will go through ego deaths. That's how you change and move on from identities and transmute energy. But to have like a real life tower moment of an ego death is different. And yeah, I mean, like it was kind of like it was like it was traumatizing but also healing. It was so weird because it was just surreal. How do I describe it? It was like I think there's a part of me that attracted that experience to some degree. There's definitely some, can't think of the word, lack of vulnerability, inadequacy, value of myself and living that attracted that experience. And through that, I worked through some of that trauma. And this connects to other lives as well. Of probably hopelessness as well. And I know afterwards it was kind of just surreal. I mean, this wasn't at a point where I was emotionally processing things or I didn't have the tools to know how to emotionally process these things. Now I do, and that's why I'm laughing at this and how surreal and spiritual it was as well because of just this very in the moment shift in physical reality in like quantum leaping and probably there's probably multiple levels of things that happen when it comes to near death experiences, and one of those things is like with any near death experience sometimes people will like see themselves outside of their bodies, or if you're like outside of your body and you're not astral traveling and you're having a near death experience, you're probably your soul's like teetering on if you still want to continue your life or not. And I didn't really have the out of body experience. I just had this very quick like, nah, dude, you're not. It's not time. And this moving of probably a heavy weight that's connected to other lives for me, and as well as my own wounds and illusions. And I remember calling my old best friend at the time and just being like, yeah, this just happened. And I just really wasn't reacting. I was probably going through a mix of it was like it was a fawn state is probably what I would call it, because I immediately just went into like this shock and like was putting up my hands up, and yeah, and then it was kind of weird. It was just like, now get out of the car, when I had like prepared to die, where I just accepted death and I went through this experience of death. And when you meditate, like I said, you go through ego deaths when you do deep meditation consistently and you're working through wounds and all this stuff. So, yeah, I got jumped and I had like an IRL ego death. Pretty much, to summarize. And there's definitely fear involved. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not like trying to say that there wasn't fear involved, that it created more trauma and wounds, but like now I'm like, I mean, am I trying to get jumped again? Like, no. But you got to work through the fear and accept the fear and the uncomfortability, and what else would come with that? Mostly it's a lot of fear. So you don't attract those experiences, so that you value yourself and you don't need to keep on going and perpetuating those cycles, pretty much, as well as avoiding. Because on top of like, any substance is a form of avoidance. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like, some people, it helps with certain things when you're dealing with heavy, complex traumas, but you still have a choice of working through those things. You can't deny yourself, because you'll just keep cycling and perpetuating. And yeah, so pretty much to summarize from a spiritual perspective is like, I attracted that experience and it was traumatizing for sure. And then I kind of worked through it. But I guess what was surreal is just the whole, like, ego ego death of it. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, the big takeaways is like vulnerability, if you've ever gone through something like that, is being vulnerable with yourself and healing your inner child and allowing for innocence. Because I wasn't born into this experience to have that experience. It's not something, but it served as a lesson and a way to heal and face wounds and things that I denied and ignored and avoided my life. And it perpetuated for so long in my life that it had to come to that extreme, to where it was undeniable, unavoidable, in my face. Literally. I left my glove. It was wintertime, actually. And I left my glove in their car. So I was walking home with one glove as I was on the phone. Yeah, I remember just talking to my friend and being like, yeah, I just got jumped. And I didn't really know what to make of it, because I just, like, was still processing the fact of, like, believing I was going to die. And yeah, a very surreal and wild experience. I'll keep the ego deaths in my meditations. I prefer that. I value myself. I value my life. I know I've got great things going on. I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying? Shit. So, vulnerability, acknowledge what you're avoiding, so you don't need to go through those IRL tower moments of wild shit. But if you have gone through things, they're serving you in a positive way. It 100% doesn't fucking seem like it when it happens, whatever it is, whatever has happened. But it happened for a fucking reason. In the most loving and positive, vulnerable way, me communicating these things to you. So, embrace the healing. Acknowledge the fear, the uncomfortable, the unknown. And being grateful, appreciating, kind, joyful, loving the experience of life that it is, and not needing to reach those points to just be happy to be me. Because the simplest thing is beautiful. I am beautiful. And I don't need those extremes to love myself. And I'm sure you don't either.